Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is part of the latest generation of the traditional Griff or Griffin Claw constellation, sometimes known as the Manhattan constellation. This bracketed design originated in 1982 when over the decades subsumed the entire Omega Constellation, becoming an absolute institution in the Far East, where it was a perennial bestseller. And while there have been other constellation revivals recently, like the Globemaster and the Observatory, bringing back more traditional constellation styles, the Griffin Claw design continues as a mainstay of the constellation line, and this is its highest evolution. The basic generation you see here debuted in 2020, and the variation you see in my hand with green dial, green ceramic bezel, and green PVD meteorite, this came out in 2024. It is a tonneau case. It does have the Griffin Claw design, which includes Roman numerals outboard on the bezel itself, as well as indices inboard. You can see it's 41 millimeters in diameter, 13.8 thick. If you measure just the case lug to lug, it's going to be 44 millimeters. I believe, though, that you should measure from the first link on each side. So I measured from each side's roller, and I got a more representative 48.7 millimeter lug-to-lug span. Now we'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and I find it's quite comfortable. Not only is it a tradition in the Omega catalog, you could make a very good case that this series has embraced integrated bracelets in steel watches long before it became popular and trendy. On the wrist, the watch wear is fairly compact for its size, so I'd recommend it for wrist as small as 15 centimeters. Mine's 16 again. You can see with a sloped bezel, it will actually fit underneath the cuff. It's a fairly meaty watch for something that's not precious metal. It's got a satisfying amount of weight to it. We'll put it on my scale. Sammy the scale says hi. We'll take a quick look, and yeah, that's getting up there. I just had a full gold, full bracelet Daytona. Actually, let's just make sure all that's resting on the tray. I just had a full gold, full bracelet Daytona, and it was only about 26 grams more than that, which isn't even a full ounce. So this in steel is quite heavy. And as you can see, it's a fascinating integration of what can rightly be described as a tonneau case into an integrated and tapered bracelet. You can see it has a bevel that runs down the shoulders, polished intermediate links. We have lateral satination on the primary links, and there is longitudinal satination in profile. You can see we've got an intermediate sized link on each side in case you find yourself in between links size-wise, so you can fine-tune the fit. Double folding clasp, you can see one closes, and then the opposite closes over it, so it's a sequential close. Twin trigger release, you have to press both for this to pop open. 50 meters water resistant, but it is a push down crown, so I don't recommend swimming with it, but it's more than the dress watch standard of 30. Taking a look at the case, you can see the Griffin claws extend down the edges of the case, a nice artistic emphasis that makes them a prominent styling feature of the watch, and yet somehow not as prominent as they appeared on previous generations since 1982. The crown is unique to the model, as you can see, tapered with polish and media blast, and then we've got a case with faceting and curves and creases, polish and satin. The bezel is ceramic, which is nice and scratch resistant, and we have the metal. These are actually metal co-molded into the bezel, so that metal will never separate. That's called liquid metal. And so what they mean at Omega is that these pieces are not inserts that can separate. You have a stylized Roman numeral 4, the watchmaker's 4 as they call it. We have the PVD green meteorite dial. So the dial is made of meteorite iron that's then sectioned and oxidized and stabilized to create these Widmann-Staughton patterns that look like crystalline structure, and then they just stay there stable over time. You can see the hands as well as the indices are faceted and half polished, half frosted for better contrast. You can see there's actually some nuanced tapering to these faceted applique indices. The date is the same color as the dial, which I love, and then we've got the applique Omega logo and marquee with the vintage constellation text. Let's take a look at this watch. It actually has quite good luminescence, although only on the hands. And then we have a little star at the bottom to remind you that the original 50s constellation was an observatory chronometer. And we have the independently mobile hour hand, which we can use to jump time zones without stopping the balance. Because if you stop a watch, even if you restart it synchronized to the second, it has to rebuild the amplitude of its balance. So a stopwatch restarting is always going to lose some time relative to what you've set. So if you just need to jump time zones, Omega lets you do that without stopping the watch. Now, if you pull the crown out all the way, now everything is synchronized. We activate hacking seconds. We've got a lovely pair of alpha hands at center with a counterweighted Lancet-style seconds hand. Out back, 2 barrels in series, automatic winding caliber 8900, which is the master chronometer version of the old 8500. 60-hour power reserve, as you can see, 39 joules. Those 2 barrels peeking out from under their bridge. Full balance bridge with a free sprung balance for shock resistance, and in the case of the free sprung balance, also very precise adjustment, beat rate of 25,200 vibrations per hour, which seems to be related to silicon hairsprings in Swatch Group watches. It's got an anti-magnetic escapement, balance wheel staff, escape wheel, pivot, and even anchor pivot, with the result this watch is anti-magnetic to over 15,000 Gauss. That is a minimum, not a maximum. And as a master chronometer, it would have been tested to run no worse as a fully assembled watch, mind you, no worse than -0 plus 5 seconds per 24 hours, plus the 50-meter water resistance, plus shock resistance, plus winding efficiency, plus power reserve. The master chronometer is a higher standard than the bare movement test of the COSC, which this meets but goes beyond. And then we also have the coaxial escapement, as invented by George Daniels in the 70s, 1974, industrialized by Omega in 1999, became a tri-level purpose-built 8500 series in 2007 on the Hour Vision, and then later 8900 as a master chronometer with the Maytaz standard chronometer test. Coaxial escapement, improving power reserve, reducing maintenance requirements, and helping to improve chronometry. Its advantage is that it uses tangential friction rather than the sliding friction of a conventional Swiss lever. Tangential is less. A lovable watch, and one you don't see often, in an unconventional fashion with the Meteorite dial. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.